Noise. Wicked from the 403 to the HA. Z, Mr. Nelson here. Ready to finish this off. We've been spending a lot of videos on this stuff and I'm ready to move. Move on, baby. Come on, move on. Move on, baby. Move on, baby. So let's do just that. The last part of function transformations is actually taking the inverse of a function or of a relation. And that looks like this little symbol, which you may recognize from our days in trigonometry where I calculate the angle x, or we'll say theta, thank you very much, which could be something like the, 5/6. I don't even know if that would work out, but that's kind of where we've seen the inverse. We saw the inverse of trigonometric functions. And now we're going to just do the inverse of all functions. And it is pretty straightforward stuff. Don't want to spend too long on this, but here are the steps. Step 1. What are the steps, guys? Shoot. Step 1 is solve for the inverse of the relation. Step 1 is 2. Let's go through it here. So if I have some function f of x, it's equal to x squared minus 2x, for example. The first thing I'm going to do is replace f of x with y. I just want to work with y because it's easier to do algebra with one letter versus two and change. Okay, so I'm going to replace f of x with y. And let's do that right here. Y now is equal to x squared minus 2x. Step 2 is to do the old switcheroo. So we're actually going to replace x and y. So x, we'll just say switch x and y. So everywhere I see a y, I'm going to put an x. Everywhere I see an x, I'm going to put a y. We'll just do this here. Switch x with y. Wait, if you're me and I'm you, that means that, what? Switch x with y, and then we're going to solve for y. Okay, so in this example, I'm going to now switch x and y. So x is equal to y squared minus 2, and then I'm just going to solve for y. I'm going to do that by adding 2 to each side. So x plus 2 is equal to y squared, and then I'm going to take the square root of both sides to get just y. So I'm trying to solve for y. And the square cancels out with the square root, and I get y is equal to the square root of x plus 2. And that is my inverse. So my f inverse x is equal to the square root of x plus 2. That's it. That's all there is to it. Follow these 3 easy steps to success. So let's do another couple examples. Let's see if the textbook's got a good one for me. I just did one from the textbook, so sure. F of x is equal to, we'll say, the square root. The square root of x plus 12. I'm going to follow my steps, follow my steps. Y is equal to x plus 12. 12. I'm going to do the old switcheroo. Y plus 12. And now I'm going to square both sides to get rid of that radical. And I get x squared is equal to y plus 12. I'm going to solve for y. Y is equal to x squared minus 12. Therefore, concordantly, vis-a-vis, ergo, f of x is equal to x, f inverse of x is equal to x squared minus 12. We went from there to there. And that's all. That's all there is to it. So let's do one more just for the heck of it. Okay. One last one for the heck of it. For the boys and the girls. For to everybody. for everybody. So we'll say that f of x is equal to negative the square root of 2x minus 1. Okay, step 1. We're going to replace f of x. Now I'm going to do the old switcheroo. The old switcheroo, you son of a gun on me. Now we're going to solve, well, we have to solve this radical equation. So the first thing is we need to isolate that. And I want it to be positive too. So I'm going to move that over here, and I'm going to move the x over there. And when I do that, I get square root of 2y. I added 2y. And then I'm going to bring this over. Is equal to negative. It's going to be negative 1 minus x. Okay? Pretty much what I did was I added 1 to each side, and then I divided by negative 1. And that's how I got that and that. Now I can square both sides. And by doing that, I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm at 2y is equal to negative 1 minus x squared. Now I have a binomial multiplication that I have to take care of. I'm going to keep working up here. So 2y is equal to negative 1 minus x times negative 1 minus x. And we're going to solve that, solve that, solve that, and solve that, solve that, solve that. 2y is equal to 1. Negative 1 times negative x is plus x. Negative 1 times negative x is plus x. Negative x times negative x is positive x squared. So I get 2y is equal to x squared. I'm going to collect those two x's. Plus 2x plus 1. And then I'm going to divide it all by 2. And I get y is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. And I probably could have left it in the squared form and just divided by 2y, but I'm a complicated man and I do complicated things sometimes. So f negative 1 of x is equal to x squared plus 2x plus 1 over 2. Or I could have just solved it right here and been given f of negative 1 of x is equal to negative x plus 1, just took out the negative, squared, over 2. Both of these answers would have been acceptable. That's the inverse of a relation. You just follow those steps, you do the weird switcheroo, let them discover new sides of themselves, maybe awaken some deep harboring feelings being in another body. That's what they're doing. We just switch it out and solve it. Replace x or f of x with y so that we can just work with a variable that's easier to deal with, y. We could have done it with f of x, but y is just an easier thing to work with. Then we switch x and y and we solve for y. Every time. That's how we're going to calculate the inverse of a function. So go practice and flourish. Thank you.